Good morning, everyone. We'll start with class 8, subject social science. We'll start with history, chapter first. How, when, and where. So, has anyone ever told you that they find history boring because there is too much to read and there are too many dates to remember? And why dates are important in history? Do you find timelines of kings and years of important event difficult to remember? Is history only about years, fact, wars and battles? So let us find out answers to all these questions in this chapter. So first we talk about approach to history. So when you look at a pair of shoes, do you ever wonder what the history of footwear is? How did humans create the first pair of shoes? What kind of material was used to make them? How were they designed? Was there any differences in the shoes worn by the rich and the poor, the royalty and the commoner? What kind of footwear were worn in battles? And is it possible to narrate the history of shoes or shoemaking by referring to a few dates? No, because history cannot be understood only by placing a few dates chronologically, because history focused on events and history is not social structure evolved during a long span of time. Political system changed gradually. Movement formed and revolution happened over a stretch of time. So a few dates are not enough to give a complete picture of our history. Historians today do not follow the sticking of the date approach. They have a holistic and inclusive approach to history. They study how people lived, what they ate, what they wore, which sport they played, what kind of trade they carried out, what did farmer cultivate, what was the status of women in the society, what was the structure of society, how efficient was the economic system, etc. So some dates are considered important over other in history due to the significance of the event connected with such dates and the point of view of the person who is writing about them. When the East India Company and the British Crown were ruling India, British historians focused on glorifying British officers, from Warren Hastings, the first Viceroy, to Lord Mountbatten, the last Governor General. So history and the dates revolve around Warren Hastings and Lord Mountbatten's achievements and policies of successive Governor-General and Viceroys. British historians did not include the life of the Indian and the commoner in the history they wrote. It was a loop-sided view of history. So next we talk about the periodiction of Indian history. The British did noteworthy work in deciphering scripts, identifying archaeological sites, and constructing chronology. Yet their classification of Indian history was flawed. So you have read before that history is divided into ancient, medieval and modern period by historians all over the world. The flawed prediction of Indian history gave false impression to reader of the Indian history. A British economist, historian and political theorist, James Mill, in the History of British India, published in 1817, termed these divisions as Hindu, Muslim and the British from 18th century onward. The establishment of the Delhi Sultanate is 200 1200 century made the British term the second phase as Muslim. Today's historians reject these predictions because the religion of the ruler alone cannot be the base of labeling the entire society or the period. Prediction is based on the political economy, social structure and the substantial change in them. This prediction by James Mill was an attempt to establish that Indian was intolerant, superstitious, racially backward, and inferior to the British. The picture in letters being section was the British way of asserting that Brahmins had handed over the Shastras to Britannia, the symbol of British power, and accorded them the status of protector of Indian culture. So, look at this question. History is written for the ruler and by the ruler. Conduct a debate in a class on the topic, and it's your homework. Thank you.